Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's session on daily current affairs with Sathya sir. This is me, Sathya Narayan from IQ Ideas, bringing you main headlines, important news snippets from a daily newspaper, along with interesting articles to read to improve your English and words of vocabulary. So, without further ado, let's jump into today's session. The main headlines on newspaper is just a weather type update which says that monsoon covers all of India 9 days ahead of schedule. Now, while this is very relevant for people in agriculture and other professions dependent on rain, from the current affairs point of view, this doesn't seem to be very relevant in the long run. So I would just read this to understand some basics of geography and meteorology. The next headline is that Maharashtra scraps an order making Hindi the third language in schools, and this move was following protests by civil society and opposition. Now, the three language policy is something which has been in the news to be implemented, and a lot of states like Karnataka and Maharashtra are opposing imposition of Hindi as a language. With they're saying that Hindi is a North Indian language and it cannot be imposed on many regions. So that's just again a sensationalist politics related headlines which I wouldn't pay too much attention to. There's a sad news that the Puri Rath Yatra stampede kills three as crowd swells to 20,000 outside the temple. So the Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra happened a couple of days back. It happens in Puri at Horisha, and the second traditional Rath Yatra happens here in Ahmedabad. Below the fold, we have a news that Shooks is the first Indian to hold experiments on the ISS and kicks off with muscle loss study. So we have been following the Axiom 4 launch where four astronauts led by the group by the commander Peggy of US, pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of India, and two more astronauts from Hungary and Poland were aboard the Axiom 4 as they went to space and docked with the International Space Station. So this says that he is the first Indian citizen to conduct a scientific experiment on the ISS. Now, as we all know, Rakesh Sharma was the first Indian to go to space, I believe with help of Russian cosmonauts. But it was just travel to space, whereas Shooks is the first one to be online on board the ISS, stay there for a couple of weeks and conduct experiments as well. So those were the news from the front page. Moving on to the city page, we have a lot of local news where above the fold it's all about the weather conditions and infrastructural issues. Below the fold we have an interesting article, Tale of Two Gems setting the sparkle standard. It reads, as global diamond trade stabilizes, India is emerging as a dual force, a powerhouse in production and consumption. As the center of this shift is Surat, the diamond city, now a major hub for natural and lab-grown diamonds. And though often seen as rivals, both are creating new opportunities and expanding access to the fine jewelry worldwide. Okay, so from this, I would only pick up one thing, that which is the Diamond City of India. Diamond City of India. So that title goes to Surat city in Gujarat. So I'll just read the article out of interest, nothing more. The next city page again has just local news, not relevant from the current affairs perspective. The third city page again seems to be the same. The next page of the state is Consumer Court ordering builder to refund 28.4 lakh rupees because of delay giving possession of flat booked in 2012. Okay, not too interesting. And again, there are other local, at least state local news, which don't seem to be too relevant from the current affairs perspective. The next nation page, the big headline says IAF, the Indian Air Force lost jets due to political constraint, says defense attaché. And Indian embassy in Indonesia says the remarks were quoted out of context. Okay, let's read this. It says the IAF lost some fighter jets when it conducted strikes on 9 terror hubs in Pakistan and POK on May 7th, because India's political leadership had directed that no military establishment or air defenses across the border were to be attacked on that day. Indian defense attaché to Indonesia, Captain Shivkumar, said at a seminar earlier this month. Okay, so a bit of a controversial statement, but I don't see much importance in remembering it for the long term. The next nation page is again related to flash floods at Uttarkashi resort site and other news. At the bottom is an article where it says the PM recalls emergency, asks people to remain vigilant to safeguard constitution. So the Samvidhan Hatya Divas, to mark the 50th anniversary of imposition of emergency in India, there would be a lot of news articles, commentary about statements being made. So although historically you should remember, you should read up about that, there is no current new event happening. So from that I move on to the favorite middle page, where the head is Modinomics, Good, Bad, Wobbly, by Duvuri Subbarao, who's a former RBI governor, and it reads, growth is strong, inflation low, and rupee stable. But we rank 136th in terms of per capita income, and income inequality is at its highest in a century. Meanwhile, the stomach for reforms is missing. So this definitely a former RBI governor's article would be good in language, would be good in content. So I would strongly urge students, especially those interested in business, economics, and so on, to go through this article. Below that is a column by Robin David, Trumpism is a passing fad, economics is forever. Western rhetoric about cultural threats from immigrants will in near future bow to the inevitability of labor shortage. Migrants will be welcomed again, and that's what India should prepare for. Okay, so doesn't seem to be anything big or major, but again from the perspective of language, could be worth reading. The three left columns, excuse me. The top is courts versus government. Whether in US or India, judicial intervention in policy is best restricted to constitutional questions. So, from the perspective of the war between Trump and federal courts, which has made news through the first 5 months of his presidency, this would be an interesting article, especially for law aspirants. The next seems to be match made in hell. Bezos' Venice wedding typifies what spending power is doing to ecologically vulnerable places. Okay, so Jeff Bezos' Amazon is extravagant. Wedding is in the news, and this seems to be sort of a critical article related to the ecological impact of the same. And the bottom seems to be a humorous, a flight risk of taste. Make carry your own food, your airline mantra. Just seems to be a humor piece which you can read if interested. We have a science page here where the top is going under a surgeon's knife. Let your digital twin do it first. So virtual cloning of patients using machine learning and artificial intelligence is revolutionizing healthcare. That seems to be a very, very interesting article. So people interested in science and things like medicine, artificial intelligence, and the connection between the two would read this. Then there's an insight column by Alok Kumar and Duvuri Subramaniam, where Kumar is an associate professor of mechanical engineering at IISc Bengaluru, and Subramaniam is an associate professor of aerospace engineering. And the article is what it means to send humans to space in age of artificial intelligence. So that would be a very interesting reading from a scientific perspective. Below that is environment meteorology related article where North India summers are getting better and monsoons drier. And a lot of graphs are shown in this. So you can just read that and see whether you can do some mathematical analysis from all the information given. Next, we have the business page where it is just about the second largest deal in pharmacy after Sun Ranbaxy. Torrent is to buy JB Chem for 18,000 crore rupees. Okay. US leads global artificial intelligence race, usage a challenge. That's a report on that. And again, different information related to it. Next, the global page. Trump seems to be a lot in the news. Trump says he doesn't expect to extend July 9 tariff deadline. So President Trump of the United States had imposed a lot of tariffs on different countries and a lot of repercussions on that. So this is an update on that. Then again, Trump calls for a ceasefire deal in Gaza amid signs of progress. This gentleman seems to be calling for a lot of ceasefires everywhere, at least claims to be doing so. US president says very wealthy group ready to buy TikTok. Okay. Elon Musk renews criticism of Trump's big beautiful bill. Hmm. So interesting news, but not very great. And there's a featured column, a series on hidden costs of war and on those who fought for peace. Old men cry war, young men die. So that would be an interesting peek into history and effects of the same. On the sports page, we have Treble Hunter. World number 2 Alcaraz begins quest to join an elite club of male players who have won Wimbledon 3 years in a row. So that's the Times of India at Wimbledon column. Djokovic eyes 25th Grand Slam title and Swiatek lays into intense calendar. So half the page is devoted to the entire tennis news. And coming to the last page, uh, again devoted to sports, but just basic updates and information, something of cricket, something of football, something of tennis, badminton, and so on. So that's pretty much it. Not a very heavy news intensive day, just some basic updates. Nothing big I can see except just one more piece of information which I think was there on the first page. And Shuk's first Indian to conduct experiments in space. Experiments in space aboard the ISS, the International Space Station. So these are just a couple of news snippets. Other than that, just a lot of interesting articles which you can read for the purpose of basic information and language and comprehension practice. So with that, this is me, Satya, bringing today's session to an end. If you like this video, hit the like button, share it with your friends, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so, and leave a comment if you want anything else to be discussed. Wishing you very